Thank you and welcome to the show this morning. The topic this morning is a profile on Mr. Sam Howard. Mr. Sam Howard is the president of Phoenix Communications, the communications company that owns WVOL and 92Q. And let me welcome you to the show this morning, Mr. Howard.
Thank you very much, Dr. Haney. It's a pleasure to be here.
Mr. Howard, I think that many of our viewers probably know you well by name, because as we indicated earlier that you are the president of Phoenix Communications, and VOL is one of your stations, as well as 92Q, and both of those are very, very popular programs. And I know that they know your name through those two radio stations. But let's talk about some of the other activities that you've been involved in, because you've been around Nashville about 15 or 16 years now. And
that's right.
I know that you've not always been involved in Phoenix Communications. Let's talk about your education background and some of the things in your career.
Well, academically, I have a bachelor's degree from Oklahoma State University and a master's degree from Stanford. I then worked for a while with General Electric Company back in 1966. Became a White House Fellow in 1970, 71. I came to Nashville in 1973. The position that I came to Nashville to fill was Vice President of Meharry Medical College. I was the financial vice president there, the youngest they've ever had. I stayed there for about 4 years and then went to a company called Hospital Affiliates, which was on West End. I stayed there for about 4 years, and then Hospital Affiliates was acquired by HCA. So I became Vice President and Treasurer of Hospital Corporation of America. And I stepped down from Hospital Corporation of America in 1990, then to go on and do acquisitions in radio stations. We bought 2 other radio stations since that time. We now own 2 stations in Tupelo, Mississippi. From a civic point of view, I'm on the board of Fisk University, a member of the 100 Black Men of Middle Tennessee, a founding member of that organization, which we're very proud of. I'm also been involved with United Way and a number of other organizations in town for about 17 years now.
Very good. And I think, Mr. Howard, we want to talk about many of the things that you've mentioned, especially some of the civic responsibilities and how that might relate to improving the lives of people. But let's talk about black entrepreneurship and some of the things that are important in terms of becoming involved in some of the things that you're doing. I think you've already indicated that you were at Hospital Corporation
Yes.
of America for a long time, and people wondered when you left that position that you were actually giving up, I think at that time, one of the highest administrative positions in terms of the healthcare industry that a black person held in the city of Nashville. I know in the city of Nashville, indeed, if not throughout the South and Southwest. But people wondered about you giving up that position and going into something else. What were some of the motives behind that?
Well, I was at just at the top of HCA, but I was about 50 at the time, and when the president's about the same age, you can't go very much further. He's not going to retire before I die, so I thought it was probably a good time for me to move on. HCA was beginning to divest itself of hospitals and doing some restructuring, and I thought that was the time for me to move on to other opportunities. And Dr. Frisk and I talked about it, and we worked out a good arrangement by which I really stayed there for a long period of time, but decided to pursue acquisitions in radio stations since that time. But let me say this about businesses. Businesses through the latter part of the 1980s have gone through a lot of restructuring. And you're finding a number of senior executives taking the opportunity to move out and become their own employer. This provides a little bit more freedom. If you have that experience of working with a corporation for a long period of time, this affords you the opportunity to find another business, spend perhaps a little bit more time with your family, as I'm able to do, because I've already raised my children. They're already gone, and they're on their own. So I am just my wife and I, so this affords us an opportunity to spend more time together as well as be on our own.
Let's talk about, and of course, I think you bring a very, very unique perspective, because you're involved in an area where there are not very many black people involved.
Yes.
And that's broadcast and especially radio. Let's talk about that. What did you see in terms of the broadcast industry that encouraged you to become involved in that area. And now you have 4 different stations.
Well, Dr. Haney had started back in 1972. I was in New York City at the time and looking for investments for my retirement. And there are several options that came to my mind. Well, you know, you can buy real estate, which there's only so much of it. And then the other one was radio stations or broadcasting properties. And at the time, I found that there had been no year in which there was a decline in actual revenue for radio stations in the United States for the past 25 years. So I thought that this would make a good opportunity for investment. It also allowed me to have passive management control of this entity, and I decided in '73 to do radio stations. And my first station was a country station, country and western station in Topeka, Kansas. I built that station in 1974. I sold it really in 1981, but and we did very well on that station, and that's how I got into the business. I still believe that the communications business is a good business to be in. It's been very difficult for the past 2 years. In Nashville particularly, the recession has been very difficult. It's caused a number of stations to lose a lot of revenues, having to cut, restructure, and become more viable again, and even our own station had to do that. But it's still a good business. When you look at the Forbes 400 wealthiest people, you'll find that 1/3 of them have been in the communications business. So if 1/3 of the wealthiest people in the world are in the communications business, it says that you ought to be looking at that particular business option. And thanks